Recorded Books presents Lone Wolf by Jodi Picoult, narrated by Mark Zeisler as the voice of Luke, Angela Goethals as Kara, Celeste Chula as Georgie, Nick Cordero as Edward, Louis Chang-Chen as Joe, Natalia Payne as Helen, and Andy Paris as Barney. This book is directed by Angel Morality Dotson.
Prologue. From Margaret Atwood, The Blind Assassin, 2000. All stories are about wolves. All worth repeating, that is. Anything else is sentimental drivel. Think about it. There's escaping from the wolves, fighting the wolves, capturing the wolves, taming the wolves, being thrown to the wolves, or throwing others to the wolves so the wolves will eat them instead of you. Running with the wolf pack, turning into a wolf. Best of all, turning into the head wolf. No other decent stories exist. Luke. In retrospect, maybe I shouldn't have freed the tiger. The others were easy enough. The lumbering, grateful pair of elephants, the angry Capuchin monkey that spit at my feet when I jimmied the lock, the snowy Arabian horses whose breath hung in the space between us like unanswered questions. Nobody gives animals enough credit, least of all circus trainers. But I knew the minute they saw me in the shadows outside their cages they would understand, which is why even the noisiest bunch, the parrots that had been bullied into riding on the ridiculous cumulus cloud heads of poodles, beat their wings like a single heart while making their escape. I was 9 years old, and Vladislav's amazing tent of wonders had come to Beresford, New Hampshire, which was a miracle in its own right, since nothing ever came to Beresford, New Hampshire, except for skiers who were lost, and reporters during presidential primaries who stopped off to get coffee at Ham's General Store or to take a leak at the Gas and Go. Almost every kid I knew had tried to squeeze through the holes in the temporary fencing that had been erected by the circus carnies so that we could watch the show without having to pay for a ticket. And in fact, that was how I first saw the circus, hiding underneath the bleachers and peering through the feet of paying customers with my best friend Louis. The inside of the tent was painted with stars. It seemed like something city people would do, because they hadn't realized that if they just took down the tent, they could see real stars instead. Me? I'd grown up with the outdoors. You couldn't live where I did, on the edge of the White Mountain National Forest, and not have spent your fair share of nights camping and looking up at the night sky. If you let your eyes adjust, it looked like a bowl of glitter that had been turned over, like the view from inside a snow globe. It made me feel sorry for these circus folks, who had to improvise with stencils instead. I will admit that at first, I couldn't tear my eyes away from the red sequin topcoat of the ringmaster and the endless legs of the girl on the tightrope. When she did a split in the air and landed with her legs V'd around the wire, Louis let out a breath he'd been holding. Lucky rope, he said. Then they started to bring out the animals. The horses were first, rolling their angry eyes. Then the monkey in a silly bellman's outfit, which climbed onto the saddle of the lead horse and bared his teeth at the audience as he rode around and around. The dogs that jumped through hoops, the elephants that danced as if they were in a different time zone, the rainbow fluster of birds. Then came the tiger. There was a lot of hype, of course, about how dangerous a beast he was, about how we shouldn't try this at home. The trainer, who had a doughy, freckled face like a cinnamon roll, stood in the middle of the ring as the hatch on the tiger's cage was lifted. The tiger roared, and even as far away as I was, I smelled his bullion breath. He leaped onto a metal stand and swiped at the air. He stood on his hind legs on command. He turned in a circle. I knew a thing or two about tigers. Like, if you shaved one, its skin would still be striped. And every tiger had a white mark on the back of each ear, so that it seemed like it was keeping an eye on you even when it was walking away. Like, They belonged in the wild. Not here in Beresford, while the crowd shouted and clapped. In that instant, two things happened. First, I realized I didn't much like the circus anymore. Second, the tiger stared right at me, as if he had searched out my seat number beforehand.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.